Hello everybody, I am David Shipley Alexander. Welcome to my Infinite Energy series on YouTube. In my first video, I defined infinite energy as usable energy coming from a non-conventional source. In this, my second video, the subject is an acronym, LENR, which is the acronym for Low Energy Nuclear Reactions. I'm beginning with a historic background on this interesting and timely subject. Since the early 1950s, physicists have spent tens of billions of dollars to make an extremely high temperature deuterium plasma. Deuterium is a rare isotope of hydrogen. And their intent was to fuse the deuterium to make helium, which would release a significant amount of energy. In reality, they've never come even close to breaking even on this process. It's been a big disappointment. In early 1989, the physics community was shocked when two electrochemists at the University of Utah, Dr. Martin Fleischmann and Dr. Stanley Pons, announced that they had achieved nuclear fusion at room temperature in a small glass apparatus. They were electrolyzing heavy water, D2O instead of H2O, with electric current. The deuterium went into the negative electrode, which is made out of palladium. Palladium can absorb more hydrogen or deuterium than any other element. They claimed they were getting a high amount of excess heat compared to the electric power they were putting in, and also they were detecting gamma rays and neutrons, which are a clear signal that they were getting a nuclear reaction. Many scientists tried to duplicate the Fleischmann-Pons experiment, but very few of them were successful. To most nuclear physicists, it was not possible. It was against the laws of physics, they said, to do such a thing, and they mocked Fleischmann and Pons and the so-called cold fusion. A few researchers kept on following that line of research. They scrounged up equipment, worked on their own time, and carefully shared results at international conferences, and slowly the secrets of how to do the Fleischmann-Pons reaction were revealed. By 2007, low energy nuclear reactions, that was the name of that family of reactions that they were using at that time, was being researched all over the world. And note that the word low refers to the energy to cause the reaction, not the energy that comes out of the reaction. One of these researchers in Italy, Dr. Sergio Focardi, Professor Emeritus at the University of Bologna, used cheaper nickel instead of expensive palladium, used ordinary water, not heavy water, and he found that the Fleischmann-Pons reaction worked, and it worked well, and it gave out more heat than it did in its initial form. They also found out that the nickel was partially transmuting to other elements, especially copper. At that time, 2007, a chemical engineer in Italy, Andrea Rossi, teamed with Focardi, and the intent of Rossi was to carry the LENR technology from the lab to commercial development. He simply said the device was an energy catalyzer, and he called it the ECAT. They did 4 years of research into 2011, where they began to demonstrate the technology in Italy. The ECAT was simple. No more electrochemistry. There were copper tubes, one inside the other, and the inner tube had pure nickel powder a tube to emit hydrogen, and an electric heater to initiate the reaction. The outer copper tube carried flowing water. They measured the flow rate of the water, the temperature rise in the water, so that from that they calculated the heat coming out. They measured the electric power going in, and they found that the ratio of heat out divided by power in was sometimes as high as 80 to 1, sometimes even higher. Late in 2011, they hooked up 300 ECAT units in series parallel connection, and produced 470 kilowatts of heat for 5.5 hours. This is a lot of heat. Try to visualize and feel 500 toasters all turned on running at the same time. A lot of heat. The next plan of Rossi was to develop a 1 megawatt unit for industry and a much smaller unit for household use. There was a large corporation financing his corporation, and everything was going smoothly to mid-2016 when there was a dispute and the two corporations became embroiled in a lawsuit. That caused delay, and that reminds us of the teachings of Peter Lindemann in my first video, where he was saying that there are these various forces that cause an opposition to these advanced technologies, and these were corporate greed and ego aggrandizement. Fortunately, ECAT is just another name for LENR. Therefore, competitors can keep proceeding with their own versions of LENR. In my next video, I plan to present more of the past, present, and potential very exciting future of the LENR story. In conclusion, LENR was discovered by Fleischmann and Pons, adjusted by Rossi, and it's slowly but surely evolving into nothing more than a doorway into infinite energy. Thank you very much for your attention. Until the next time, I am David Shipley Alexander.